I'm Doreen. I'm a compulsive overeater and food addict. I weigh and measure 3 meals a day, write them down, call them into my sponsor, and I don't eat anything in between. And abstinence is the most important thing in my life. And I used to say that sort of hissing uh, before, sort of absence the most important thing. I've got a payload of important things, sort of. But I know when I wake up in the morning and I have my first meal, that day becomes the most important day in my life. And abstinence is the most important thing I do that day. Sort of. And sort of I came in about 3.5 years ago, sort of I didn't I knew I ate too much. I knew diets didn't work for me, and I didn't understand really that I was powerless because I thought it was only food and sort of how could you be powerless over food. But and I didn't know, I wasn't aware, I didn't appreciate that I couldn't stop on my own. I was always, every night, I'd promise myself that I wasn't going to do it that night. I wasn't gonna eat the confectionery. I was gonna leave it alone. I was gonna stop. I wasn't gonna go into the kitchen back and forth. I wasn't gonna do it that night, and every night I failed. So it was pitiful, incomprehensible demoralization every night. Sort of. My partner used to, in the morning, look at me with pity. Not, sort of, why are you doing it to yourself? Sort of. Um, I used to be embarrassed when I was out eating, because I could imagine people walking past me saying, "God, she's that size and she's eating," sort of, the shame, the guilt, the remorse, sort of. I had it all going on all the time, sort of. It was a horrible frame of mind to be in, a horrible frame of mind, sort of. And I knew it was the food, I knew it was the food. But, I thought another trip to Weight Watchers, and lose 2.5 stone, sort of, because that's all I could lose, sort of, because it meant giving up something after that, and I couldn't give up food. I thought it was giving up. I couldn't give up food, And Weight Watchers is kind of, they say it's built to make you fail, and I failed every time. I knew, that I wouldn't be able to do it, but I was going to try. So when I came to Grey Sheets, and they said it's the last house on the block, it's sort of, yeah, for you perhaps, sort of, I was sort of belligerent, sort of, I didn't even hide it sometimes, I expressed it, sort of, but as my head has cleared, as I've listened and not just heard what people have said, but listened to what people have said, it's become clearer, sort of. I'm reading the doctor's opinion in the grey sheet 12 and 12, and also experiencing those things that Dr. Tarman talks about. I've experienced them. So I know I'm a compulsive eater, I know I'm a food addict, and I know I have to weigh and measure my food, and eat 3 meals a day and call them into my sponsor. I know I have to do that. I don't know how long I'll do it for, but I intend to do it for the rest of my life, sort of. Um, and what day did I have today? I have to say what day I had today. Um, I turned up for life today, you know. Um, I've been working a lot lately, and I've been falling asleep on the meetings, obviously, but I've been working a lot lately, and I missed 2 days of work because I overslept, you know, and you know before that would have been a reason to eat, reason to check the job in, you know, sort of, and eat. Anyway, I stayed abstinent, and I thought, what? And this morning I was thinking, I don't want to go into work. You know, I might have sly comments, you know, sort of, oh, that would crucify this poor, you know, sort of pure person. But I went into work. I had my lunch, weighed and measured lunch, and no one said a word to me. Everyone was friendly and kind. I turned up for life, you know, sort of friendly and kind, you know. What my perception of what is going to happen is totally different to what actually happens. It's never as bad as what I think it's going to be, you know. And you know, things like that would have took me straight to food, took me straight to food. But I've got a program now, you know. Um, I've got a higher power in my life, you know. I talk to that higher power. You know, I rely on that higher power, and I turn it over. I turn it over, you know. Um, and sort of that higher power is a bit different to the one, you know, I have in AA. You know, sort of the one in AA is more about emergencies. This one is more about life. You know, it's more about sort of being with me in life. You know, sort of more more cushioning the blow. You know, more cushioning me. You know, it's looking after me more. You know, sort of I rely on it that bit more. You know, well, it's got more depth then. Now the food has been removed, my higher power has more depth. And then I'm in the middle of doing a step forward, and you know, it's sort of more is being revealed to me. You know, sort of dysfunctional family, sort of you know, not excuses but reasons why I might have picked up the food, and things, you know, sort of my personality, you know, sort of how I point the finger, you know, sort of all that kind of thing, you know, sort of. So you know, it's been enlightening. It's been enlightening, you know, sort of. You know, you know, I before I came into Grey Sheet, I thought it was just eating, but you know, like the 12 steps do, they take you apart and they put you back together again. And this is what's happening to me. I'm being taken apart. I'm being put back together again, you know? And I hope I become the type of person that doesn't have to eat compulsively, you know, sort of. And as for the food, I love the food. Um, you know, sort of, I know when I finish my meal, whatever worry or whatever angst I've got, whatever anxiety I might be feeling, I feel a lot calmer after I've had my food, you know, sort of it seems to disappear, you know, sort of. Someone said one time, and I've experienced it, you know, sort of the world stops when you have your food, you know, it goes quiet, and sort of things calm down, and, you know, sort of you're just in that moment of eating, you know, sort of all pleasure is there, you know, and sort of, and then for me, it's a special time to, you know, when I'm in the staff room, you know, they'll say to me, "What are you eating today, Doreen?" You know, it's sort of, I don't tell them that I'm in Grey Sheet. I don't have to, you know. I know now. I don't have to tell them, you know, sort of. But you know, I sit, I've got my knife and fork, I've got my dish, I've got my food, and I enjoy it. I enjoy every bit of it, you know, sort of. And, you know, I don't talk to them. I just sit and eat, you know, and sort of. that's my time, that's my time, So I look at the clock and quarter of an hour that took me to eat. Not bad, sort of. And then I go back to work and I'm happy, sort of. I'm happy. I've had my food, you know. I go through the day, go home, and then hopefully start food again, start eating again when when the time is right. But thank you, Laura. Um, what I've understood, what I've had with grey sheets is facing my fears. No, I had a phobia about the London Underground, a terrible phobia, and it came from when I lived there for a short while, when I was 18, 19, and I've never been able to get over it. And these last couple of years, I've begun to overcome it. I'm able to go on the underground. I've rationalised it. I've been able to rationalise it. Sort of no one's going to attack you specifically, Doreen. They're not out to attack you. You're not going to fall under a train by accident, Doreen. You're going to be all right. And I know it was silly, they built up in my head with silly fears, and with GreySheet I've been able to overcome it, sort of. There's a few other things I've got to overcome, but they'll come in time. But that's one of the things GreySheet has afforded me, Um, I I really didn't want to go to another fellowship, because I'm quite entrenched in the food and drink fellowship, the beverage fellowship. And I thought, how can I manage two fellowships? Sort of. But you do manage, and my AA program has been enhanced with grey sheets. I'm beginning to really understand, not know, but understand what's really going on. I'm beginning to understand. I'm not paying it so much lip service. Sort of. I know what I'm talking about. I know. I know. I've experienced. I've experienced some of it. And sort of is opening the doors for me. It's really opening the doors. And there's other fellowships I have to look at. Debt Anonymous, um, Clutter Anonymous, Clutterers Anonymous, Debt Anonymous, and there's probably more others I have to look at. But I'm happy with grey cheese, and it all comes down with putting down the food. Sort of. All you have to do. It's not easy because I relapsed and relapsed and relapsed and relapsed. But it comes from putting down the food, and you get this life opens up. Sort of. If you think you knew yourself, wait till you get to grey sheets, and then you start knowing yourself. Then you start knowing yourself. Sort of. So I'm a happy customer. Sort of. There's a bit of a ramble, but there we are. Sort of. Um, I'm grateful to grey sheets and the people in it, because you lot are grey sheets. You are grey sheets. The fellowship. So I'll leave it there. Thank you.